वेलकम बैक टू द शादाब वाला पॉडकास्ट एवरीवन। मैं हूँ शादाब। उम्मीद है इस एपिसोड से हम और आप मिलकर कुछ सीखने और समझने की कोशिश करेंगे। So welcome back to the video everyone. My sincere apologies for not uploading the content for the last I guess 1 year, and I was busy with my own stuff. I'm a researcher, so I had a bit of work to do and all, right? So therefore I could not upload the content. This video is for those who have requested me a lot, right, in the comment box, right, to review Kautilya School of Public Policy and to give some form of information around Kautilya School of Public Policy and all. So I am here with this video for you guys. So let's get it started. So Kautilya School of Public Policy is in Hyderabad. It's a part of Geetam University, which is a private university, right? And this school is not very old. It's a very recent school, but again recent but quite good. So as I mentioned before in the multiple videos, any school, any MBA school, policy school, or any engineering school must be judged on the basis of their curriculum, their pedagogy, and the resources which we have. So the curriculum of this policy school sounds quite recent and quite kind of exciting as well, right? So if you try to look at some keywords here, right, so it will give you some kind of a thrill, at least to me. So if you look at these keywords like cybersecurity threats, climate change, pandemics, migration, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. So such things are very hot these days in the domain of public policy. So I'm pretty much sure that the student must be having good time to kind of engage with such hot and exciting topics of public policy. Moving further to the video, they have the nice structure here, right? What you're gonna get to teach and all. So they have the mandatory courses, which might we call them as a core courses. Then they have electives, the skill shops, we can call them workshop like that. Then they have electives, and electives are the choice based. So the prima facie, the structure seems quite coherent and well defined. And then on the basis of your mandatory courses, electives is skill shops, and the choice based electives, you get to choose your and the internships and capstone project, you get to choose your specialization. And the specialization of the this policy program is around governance and society, development economics, business and development, human rights, law and democracy, and international law. These are the specialization with this policy school, right? Then the career path, right? So how the career path has been decided if you join this policy school. So as I mentioned before, your career path has been defined on the basis of your mandatory courses, electives, and internships, and the capstone projects. The mandatory courses are the core courses which you cannot avoid. You have to have read or opt those courses, right? And this whole kind of a structures, when get together, you become a specialized in any one of those post policy specialization. And moving further, these are the credit requirements. I recommend you to visit to the website and please read this browsers very carefully. And then if you have any question, please comment box in the in this video. I will help you to kind of navigate through any difficulties if you may face anything, right? So these are the credit requirements. You must read it, because the credit requirements are something very tricky some of the time, and as well as very important to understand the rigor of the program, right? Then this slides is quite fascinating and interesting to me, right? So these are the specialization, as I mentioned before, right? And if you can also see the specialization here, right? So these are the specialization, as I mentioned before. So the specialization will be around government business, human rights and laws, development economics, governance and society, international laws. And these are the anchor courses or the anchor core, right? Business and society, I mean, you have to have opt these courses. Human rights and all, microeconomics and policy, policy for social goals, changing world order, right? Then you have these just nice electives. So for instance, I work on AI policy and AI and data policy, right? So I find, this course is very interesting, ethical AI and ethics, right? Then you have geopolitics and strategic decision. These are the very fascinating, topic to study in today's scenario, specifically if you're a policy student, right? So, in my view, this course is quite coherent, designed by carefully, and it has good amount of meaning for the policy student, right? Then you have the core courses again. You can look at them, right? So these are the India core. I mean, focused around India and Indian economy and Indian policy issues. And moving further through this video, you will get to see the indicative list of skill shops. So the skill shops is the part of the curriculum, as we mentioned before, and this is something very unique and silent feature of this policy school. One disclaimer I would like to give here is this video is not sponsored by Kautilya School of Public Policy. These are my genuine opinion. I also have some critique of this school, which I'll come later in this video, right? So these are the very crucial executive silent feature of a policy school. So for instance, data for policy practices, development consulting for change, which is in part 1 and part 2, then making data actionable. So these are the skills which a policy practitioner needs. And in today's scenario, there are a lot of policy schools which unfortunately don't have such learning arrangements. So if you're a policy practitioner and you have been getting such educational trainings around data policy practice and development consulting and all, right, so you must go for that, right? And these skills are very crucial for the policy practitioners. For instance, if you are interested in, let's say, development consulting or a policy consulting, so these two programs will gonna help you. Now I don't know what they deliver in this courses or programs, but as the title suggests, I can guess something out of it, right? They must be training the students around consulting projects, so, or the consultings in public policy spaces. So these are the things which a policy practitioner needs, right? Most of the time people don't want to work with non-profit organization. They want to work with, let's say, EY and BCG or PWNC and all, right? So such courses helps a student to get into such organizations. So in my view, these are the fantastic academic arrangements which Kautilya School of Public Policy has. Then you have another interesting features which called making data actionable, visualizing information, and these days the policy issues and the challenges has become very unique, very complex, very wicked. We need data information to kind of decode those challenges and those complications, right? So having such academic arrangements help students to equip with such kind of tools and techniques and skills, and it ultimately helps the student to get into some of the good organizations, right? So this is the video about the Kautilya School of Public Policy, and this browsers missing some information which is not acceptable at all. So for instance, they would have mentioned the fee structures, they would have mentioned the student's profile in this video, they would have mentioned the partner organization, they would have mentioned the the organization where the people are working, they should have mentioned the batch profile and all, right? So having vague browsers does not help a student to decide whether they should get admit or not, right? So in my view, this browser itself should have mentioned about the fee structures, which is 8 lakh, which I found it later on the website, and they must have mentioned about the organization where the people are interning, where the people are working. They must have mentioned about the job roles, which kind of jobs the Kautilya alumnus have been getting. They must have mentioned the nature of the organization, whether they are in development sector or a policy sector or consulting sectors. These issues are missing. So this, in my view, this is the half information, right? So any decision cannot be made on the half information, right? you must have to provide the full information, or at least a reasonable information to deduct at least, right, to decide whether one should get admit in the program or not. So I would request the Kautilya administration to work upon a bit on this brochure and mention those information. So for instance, if you look at the brochure of a TISS or Azim Premji University, you will get to know that at least the candidate's profile or the fee structure and the parent organization or the organization where the people are working, the job roles and all, right. These things help the student to decide, to kind of take a logical decision, right. If somebody is spending around 14 to 16 lakh rupees on the master, then they have each and every right to decide mindfully or logically. So in my view, this policy schools prima facie looks better, and this is one of the emerging kind of a policy schools in my view, because they have the collaboration with Harris School of Public Policy. They have some really nice academics of the domain. They have some really very good name of the country in the school. But again, I'm saying these things does not help the students, but definitely help the policy schools for sure, but not help the student to decide whether they should get admit or not, right. Because if you have collaboration with Harris and you have some high funda people in your policy schools, but not providing the other information, doesn't make sense at all. So in my view, Kautilya School of Public Policy would have provided a bit more depth information in the brochures, so that is at least we would have talk about a bit more critically about the public policy school. So now coming to your admission point, whether you should get into this policy school or not. So in my view, this is your choice, right. If you have aspirations to study geopolitics and AI and ethics, you should definitely go for that. But if you have aspirations to study, let's say, health economics, then this school is not for you. And having said that, this school is quite new, and you should be very careful with the information which you have been receiving from the school, and you should really talk the people, the alumnus, the Kautilya School of Public Policy people, the administration, everybody. Reach out to everybody, ask them your specific question, and then decide whether you should opt for this program or not. So half of the information is missing, so I cannot assure anything or I cannot claim anything, but I can give you the general perspective of the policy school. So as I mentioned before, it looks nice, good, but since a lot of information is missing, let's say the placement scenario, right, the placement information is missing. So if somebody is going to spend around 14, 15, 16 lakh, then he or she has right to know about this placement as well, right, because ROI concern at least at the end of the day, right. So there should be information about the placement as well. So as I mentioned before, there should have been an information around placement, organizations and fee structures and all. Fee structures is given on the website, but other information is not. So I request the people to kind of work on a bit more, so that a student get to decide quite logically. End of this video, I would say these are the opinion based on this browsers, and these are the generalistic opinion. I'm not arguing or claiming anything, because I don't have the full-fledged information to claim anything. But to help you, I guess, to help the students, this information is quite reasonable. They can do a bit of research by their own self and get to decide. But I'm damn sure this will help the student to kind of dwell a bit more about these schools. So I'll try to kind of talk to somebody from the Kautilya School of Public Policy, and maybe I'll try to talk to them and I'll request them to come on my platform to talk about this policy school a bit more, because this is something unique. But again, uniqueness does not guarantee your employment. And thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you will like this video. If you have any specific question, please do comment on this video. And if Kautilya School of Public Policy or people from the policy school is watching this video, please, you can also comment on the video and just help us to get to know about the policy school. Thank you very much for watching this video.